Well, I've been busy. Anyway, this video is about the movies I watched this week. Whatever movies I watched this week, this is it. So I watched this one right here, Little Caesar from 1930 with Edward G. Robinson and Douglas Fairbanks Jr. He's a gangster. He's a bad guy. He hooks up with some other bad guys and he thinks he's a tough guy. He likes shooting people. Anyway, it's the ending everybody likes to see. Yeah. Cops say, give up! But he decides not to. So, anyway, I won't tell you what the movie's about because in a roundabout way it'll spoil it. So, this one I won't mention too much about what it's about. Anyway, at the beginning they open up him and Fairbanks Jr. sitting in a restaurant having lunch or dinner or whatever it is, and he gets a bright idea. He's going in the big city. He's going to be a big shot. So basically that's what they do. They go to the big city and become a big shot. Yep. Little Caesar. Gets an 8 out of 10. I like it. This one, Lincoln. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis. There's not too much action in here. Most of this is character driven, you know? Like in the White House and offices and buildings, you know, talking to each other, you know, about the war and about the slaves and the black people, black soldiers, you know, ending of slavery and putting it to vote and all that stuff. So it's character driven. It's a very, very quite, to me, interesting movie. I liked it. I give it a big 10. Yeah, this is the only movie I ever gave a 10 to. So, he gets a 10. What else can I say? Daniel Day-Lewis, yeah. That's only the two that are in Blu-ray and a DVD. The other ones are basically, these ones I'm going to talk about is mostly from Home Box Office, Crave TV, and TCM. So, and I watched Lucky. The movie's called Lucky, and it has Harry Dean Stanton in it, and he plays the part of a 90-year-old man walking around. He lives in this desert town. Few people, think, you know, like a variety store. You know, there's not too many. The bar, you know, the restaurant. Goes to the same restaurant every day, has a coffee, chats with people. He goes to the same variety store. He gets a quart of milk and all, gets some cigarettes, has a smoke, you know. So yeah, and one day he's in his house and he's watching his coffee percolator, you know, perking away, and he keels over. So he goes to the doctor, and one thing leads to another, and the doctor says, man, there's nothing wrong with you. Your heart's all right, everything is all right, everything's all right. So, you know, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it. You know, he's drinking shots of whiskey every day, smoking a pack of cigarettes, and not a damn thing wrong with this guy. He's just 90 years old. Anyway, it's a good little story, and it continues on that way. And he's roaming around town, basically trying to find himself. And I think if you're 90 years old, it's a little late for that, trying to find yourself. But it's a very good movie, you know. Not, you know, other than walking around town, talking to people, stuff like that, and telling people to bugger off, and, you know, being a nasty old guy. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes. But, yeah, it's a good 7. I give it a 7. Very interesting story. Oh, yeah, and the other one was on TCM. Here we are, TCM. Murder My Sweet. Everybody knows Murder My Sweet, most of us. Dick Powell. You know, he stopped being a pretty boy and singing songs and all that stuff, right? So he decided to be a detective. So there you go. So now he's a detective. Philip Marlowe, I think his name is. And he's a detective. He gets hit in the head a lot, you know. But a big guy comes in, you know, wants to hire him because he's wants Philip Marlowe to find his girlfriend, you know. So he gives him a down payment and stuff like that. Now Philip Marlowe goes to try to find this person. So it's all involved, like homicide, somebody's murdered, and blackmail and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's a very good movie. It was filmed before in a roundabout way, and the the Falcon takes over. It's the same story as in Falcon with, what's his name, Tom Conway, I think his name was? Yeah, Tom Conway, the second Falcon in the series. I think there was, I'll probably talk about this one later too. So, anyway, that's Murder My Sweet with Dick Powell. It gets in good 8. I liked it. It was a very good movie. Very good. You'll like it. Tom Conway. Tom Conway, 1944, Murder My Sweet. It's a big 8 out of 10. Interesting story. And the other one, Ocean's 8. She's in jail for 5 years. When she gets out, she gets some of her friends together and they're gonna do a heist. She thought about it for 5 years, put it all together. She's gonna do a heist. You know what they're gonna heist? I'll give you one guess, okay? Girls. Just put your head together. Girls. They're gonna get together and they're gonna do a heist. What's girls' best friend, right? Diamonds. They're gonna hunt a heist, I should say, a bunch of diamonds. So Sandra Bullock's in that, right? And Kate Blanchett. And the guy that steals the show, he doesn't show up until the end, right? But he's an insurance adjuster. But it's James Gordon. He's a riot. So there you go. And that one gets a 7 out of a 10 too. So there you go. 7 out of a 10 for Ocean's 8. And that was on, well, basically Crave TV here in Toronto, which is Rogers. And the other one was on Home Box Office, which is Crave TV, Home Box Office. I get them all mixed up. But Global Meltdown. Now, 2016, I think it was. It's the end of the world. And I'm watching this movie thinking to myself, when's this movie going to end? Yeah, I'm sitting there going, man, when's this movie going to end? I'm getting a little, you know, I don't know. So anyway, I gave it a 5 out of 10. I thought it was going to be good, but it's not that good. So 5 out of 10 for Global Meltdown. All right, let's get on with the rest. All right, so then I watched TCM. I watched The Falcon in New Mexico. Yeah, he goes to New Mexico because in New York, I think it's New York wherever he's at, there's an art gallery. The owner of the art gallery gets murdered. So he goes off to Mexico to try and find the killer who murdered this guy. So, it's a pretty good story. Well, most of the Falcon movies are good. You know, they're interesting for the time period, 1940, stuff like that, right? So, yeah. Tom Conway. I think he was in, what was he in? A few of them? Tom Conway. Yeah, there was about 16 movies, I think, on the Falcon character. I don't know if they were all B movies. I guess they were B movies. So that gets a 7 out of 10. And the last one I watched, or, you know, I guess near the last one, was a movie called Lost Angel. And it stars Margaret O'Brien. Margaret O'Brien was in a lot of movies. This one, and a reporter, James Craig, right, gets word that there's a little girl, genius, right, at this, what did you want to call it, place where there's scientists, you know, doctors and all that kind of stuff, and they're bringing up this little girl, teaching her things and, you know, science stuff and all that, you know, playing chess and reading books. And anyway, he goes and what is it? And yeah, he gets in there and he talks to her. I guess he wants to interview her. Anyway, he starts telling her all this stuff, right? Things she never heard of, like a magic carpet, magic. And she's sitting there going, you know, fairy tales and all these stuff, and she's never heard any of this stuff before. So now she gets fascinated. So what does she turn around and do? She sneaks out. She starts walking down the street, comes across the cop. He takes her over to the bus stop, right? And tells her to get on the next bus. Anyway, one thing leads to another, and she's roaming around town. She's talking, I think it's Japanese or Chinese, to these Chinese people, and they end up taking her back to the reporter where he works at, right, and leaving her there, and it's hilarious. Kenan Win's in it too. Kenan Win, yeah, he's a guy called Packy, and he's a so-called bad guy. But yeah, Margaret O'Brien. It's a fun movie. It's a very enjoyable movie. I never saw it before. That was the first time I saw it. I would imagine Margaret O'Brien. I have some of her movies. I do have her movies, but I went on Amazon to check to see some, you know, Margaret O'Brien. There's not many on there. And the ones that are on there, man, they cost a lot of money. I'm thinking, nah, I can't afford that shit. So anyway, forget about Margaret O'Brien buying her movies. Lucky I already have some from years ago, but now, forget about it. Anyway, Lost Angel. Jeez, I can't talk either. TCM 1943, starring Margaret O'Brien. You know, the little girl that was on Meet Me in St. Louis? Meet Me in St. Louis? Well, I'm not going to sing it. Meet Me in St. Louis. Yeah, Margaret O'Brien. And what is it? She was in numerous movies. Anyway. That's it, people. That's the movies I watched this week. So, I'll talk to you next Friday. Keep watching those movies, all you movie lovers. Later. Have a good weekend.